also is a statistics level for these different roll-ups and what in terms you want to keep. The statistics level by default is level 1. But there are 4 different levels of statistics here. You can see level 1 is just the basic metrics. Level 2 adds in some additional information. If I go all the way up to level 4, well, it's essentially, you could call it debugging information. And so keeping a higher level of information essentially means that you have to store more data. However, you may find that this data is useful for you in the short term, whereas as you get further and further out, that degrading quantity or degrading granularity of data mindset means that you just don't really care anymore. So you can adjust these statistics how you see fit. I'm going to leave these for 1, but you might actually just take a look and see, well, where do you want to edit what types of data you're going to keep for? What is the interval, and then how long do you want to keep that data? If you believe you're going to need more than 5-minute granularity to your data for over a day, well, then go ahead and increase that amount. You are going to have an impact on the database size then, right? So if I try to keep, instead of my 1-day interval for a year, if I try to keep it for 2 years, well, as you can see here, my estimated space goes up by a little bit, about 4 gigs there. Change that from level 1 to level 2 information, and, well, it's just not going to work for me. I can't keep level 4 information when I'm blowing it away at earlier points in time. So all of this is going to have an impact on the amount of data that you're having to keep and the database size that you're going to have to keep in order to support that. This is just one of the items in here. We have runtime settings as well. These runtime settings help you identify what the unique identifier is for the vCenter server. If there's a managed IP address in here, a server name, you generally don't touch these at all. These unique IDs are in here. Generally, if you have multiple instances, they're going to operate in the same environment. So you're going to want to have a different number for the other vCenter server than would you for this one. Any Active Directory queries are going to have a timeout of 60 seconds. Is there a query limit? Is there a validation period for that information? You'll notice here that the query limit is set to 5,000 users and groups. So if you attempt to try to gather a bunch of stuff, well, are you going to try to constrain yourself or not? Common thing to do, especially in very large environments. If you set up alerting, you're going to have to put up an SMTP server here and a sender account so that you can send those alerts out to individuals. If I have SNMP also, I can set up one of 4 different receivers, including the URL and the community string that is used for sending that SNMP data from vCenter to your SNMP server. The ports here are generally not touched at all, and generally your timeout settings aren't going to be touched at all. You can, however, adjust what the logging level is for vCenter if you find that you're experiencing problems that you really can't track down. Okay, by default, we're actually a fairly decent amount of logging. It's all the way up to information level logging. If you get down into verbose and trivia, I will warn you that doing so can have a negative impact, because just keeping that verbose and trivia